My name is Olatunde Obajeon. I'm popularly, known and called as Oba. I'm a musician primarily. I'm a producer. I'm a filmmaker, and I do a lot of multimedia stuff, And I'm also the creative director and CEO of a newly built record studio. Man, it's a long story. I tell people that I got into the industry since 1996. So someone always asks me, how old are you then? You start doing this since 1996. Okay, so 1996, I can still, remember vividly. That was a year I met, Mr. Lemmy Jackson. I started music from church, actually. I was part of the choir. I moved from being part of the choir, the singer, to playing the drum, because that was when the church bought a drum, so who was going to play it? So I volunteered to learn the drums. So I started playing the drum. So after a while, I moved away from the drum. They got us a choir master then who taught us how to sight read and learn proper, music theory. So I jumped, to that, and I learned that also. So I moved from, I graduated from being a drummer to a pianist, because being a pianist then in First African Church is like, you are like on top of your game. So I graduated from being a drummer to a pianist. Then, so I was on that for a long time until something happened, and I moved away from that setting, and I found guitar. So since then I've stuck with the guitar. So when I found guitar, I realized that I kind of find it easy to express myself more with the guitar. So and I've been playing guitar since. So guitar is kind of my major instrument, but I play other instruments too. So that was how I really got into into music proper. So then one thing led to another. Started playing gigs, play with different bands. Then 1996, I met Mr. Lemmy Jackson accidentally, and I learned the art of studio engineering and audio engineering from him. From there, I started producing people, artists, and I easily get bored with something, most especially when the thing is, when it's becoming non-challenging, when it's becoming more easy. And because I don't want to do trend, I don't want to do Afrobeat, I don't want to do, okay, this is the kind of music that is reigning now. So I was just looking for a unique way to do what I, like to do. So I actually knew that there's more to what I want to do and what I'm exposed to, So I read, books, I made research, and yet those things help. But I really didn't get into that, realm until I met a dear brother to me and a friend. His name is Kudus Onikeku. He's the creative director of Q-Dance, Center, and also the CEO and first director of Center for Yoruba Museum in Lagos. Gerando. I don't know how to put that. So he's the CEO and he's the director of that space now. So I met him in 2017. That was after a long year when I was just looking for something new. So he is a dancer. That's one unique, area of this story, because I'm a core musician. I don't dance, but he's a core, choreographer and also a musician. So we met accidentally, and we began to do stuff together, and that was what actually, inspired me to begin to, it's like an entry into the realm, to the world I really want to, get to. I, collaborate on most of the biggest international stage all over the world, and so my collaboration is didn't just involve around musician alone. So with visual artists, dancers, and all that, and and that actually there's a lot lot of them. And there's one is I can't really remember. It is the 57th Nigeria Biennale at Venice in Italy, where I perform alongside with Keziah Jones and Kudus Onikepo himself. Yeah, it's it's kind of a visual visual artist festival, but that was the first time Nigeria is getting into that space, and that's first time also they involved musicians and dancers, and I was one of the musicians that performed alongside with Keziah Jones and Kudus. And yeah, there's a lot of them, but I can't really begin to go into to them one after the other. So the reason why it's kind of difficult for not mentioning Kudus in my talk or in my interviews is because we've been together since 2017. So even when he's not in the country, when we are far away from each other, we still communicate. So most of the artistic work I've done involves around him. And like I told you, it's not just about dance. It's about music, it's about everything. So we've been working together. So I cannot talk about myself or my growth within a decade without mentioning him. So it's not easy not to, mention, Kudus as a partner and as a collaborator. Yeah. So working around him, it's like I told you, it opened my eyes into so many things. And so one of the experiences when we were working on reincarnation, so he told me that this project, I only want one musician, and I have like 10 dancers on stage, and we're going to create something very, very massive, and it's just going to be you as one musician. So you know how challenging that is? I have to bring an orchestra on stage, and I have to perform as a one-man artist, one-man musician for something that sounds like an orchestra. Of course, because of my experience in production and all that, I was able to pull that through. But it was also a moment where I saw my sound in a different way, because other people embodied the sound and they give a visual element to it. So to see it in that form, something that's really was really interesting for me to see. Who are the people and what are the sound that influenced me is a big question. Because number one, I would say I influence myself. It's trickish, right? Now, I've listened to so many artists. So at some point in my life, what I'm doing at some point in my life is influenced by something, which I have to, because I also look for a new meaning to anything that influenced me. For instance, when I was learning guitar, I listened to a lot of George Benson, Glue, and that's what those two artists inspired a lot of guitarists then, and I also followed the trend. But because that's not what I really want to do, I dropped it. So when I began to go into production, I listened to so many artists, Fuji musicians. In fact, in my car, I have Barista. There's one Fuji Extravaganza. I broke the CD. The CD got broken. I bought another. At least I bought almost 5, versions of that CD because I love it. So you're surprised that Fuji, but I don't sing Fuji, but it's just a vibe for me. So there's a way sound just get to me that, yeah. So there are a lot of things that, there are a lot of artists that influenced me. At some point it was Asha, at some point it was Bess, at some point it was one lady from Mali called Fatoumata Diawara. At some point, some artists, some sound artists that, I can't really remember their name. So yeah, Fela too also, but Fela, I just listened to Fela. It was lately that I began to listen to Fela music. I told my friend that, that I just discovered Fela music. But all the while, I actually know the sound, but I just hear it. I never listen to it, like play it and say, I'm listening to Fela. But I know Fela sound. I play, I hear it, it reflects in my vibe, Okay, in Nigeria now, I would love to collaborate with Braimo, yeah, and also, Ibrahim Malouf is a trumpeter in, I think it's in France also. I think he lives in France. And Fatoumata Diawara, she's from Mali. I think she's based in Canada or US also. And yeah, those 3 people for now. One, there are a lot of them. There was one that's very special to me. When we had the premiere, it's like a press showing of a reincarnation in Paris, Center Pompidou, one of the big centers in the center of Paris. And I had Kizar Jones and Ayo in the audience that day. And after the show, everybody stood up and they gave us a standing ovation. It's one moment that I cannot forget. It's very, very special for me. To do something that people like that I look up to can also give a standing ovation and say, man, guys, well done. Very, very special. And the second moment is when I think it's in Lyon in France also. One festival also where I had the opportunity to meet Fatoumata Diawara one-on-one and had a handshake, hug, and picture with her. It's also very, very special for me. Music has been there. Music has been part of this society in a long time, even before I was born. In the days of Ogunde, Sonny Ade, Ebenezer Obey, Sashino Peter, all those guys, Haruna Ishola. If you really dive into the music history of this country, you see that there has been a history of people and there have been trends. At some point, it was all those Sonny Ade, Ebenezer Obey that was reigning everywhere, you see. So people actually live with that also. So this is not what is happening in the music industry. It's not new. It's not like something that has not happened to us before. Had different people. If I begin to trend now, it doesn't mean that it's just something that at some point, what we listen to now in coming years will actually sound, the way we see the other older musicians. People at that age will also see us like, okay, this is quite old and all that. So now, but it's interesting because where we are now as human, as a country, as the whole world, there's a shift, there's a change, and we're lucky that Nigeria is also positioned in a way that our sound, our artists are beginning to make waves and begin to have international recognition. So I can say music generally has actually brought something, positive, to us as a country, and because we also represent on the bigger stage, and people who are out there that we look up to then and now start coming to the country and now find our artists also interesting. For me, that's something. And you see, it's a phase. It's good that it happened, but it's going to face off, and another thing will come up. Nobody knows. Now that AI is also producing people now, who knows, maybe in the coming years, there will not be artists again. I mean, I'm not saying that. I know that it's difficult. It's going to be difficult to eradicate human, but you should also have at the back of our mind that there's a revolution. There's something new that comes every time. So one of the challenges I had then was that, how do I feed myself with what I'm doing? Because I've never gone and work and earn salary. And because I also don't have, grades, or how would I put it? I think I felt that I was not, I felt that I don't have enough to go and hunt for jobs, or I'm not educated enough to go and work in a bank, or to go and do this, to and do that. So the only thing that I was left with was my ideas and creative. Because my family too are well-to-do, let me put it that way. So from my tender age, I've been on my own, and I struggled to get to the level I am now by myself and, God. So I also always feel that, so one of the challenges was that, okay, this is what I'm left with, my talent. How do I make money from it? How do I monetize it? How do so I'm also I'm not a businessman. I don't know how to canvas people to buy something, or so I just feel, and these days you need to have mouth. Some people sell things with their mouths, bad things, they just sell it. Well, I'm not good at that, So that was one of the challenges I had. Like, okay, how do I make money? But you see, how I was able to get out of that was that later I realized that it is when you do it, and you do it proper, that is when it becomes something. So if you don't pay proper attention to it, or do it the proper way, or make it unique, that no other person can do it better than you, you cannot make money from it. So that was the turning point for me, when I realized that it has to be excellent. Then once it's excellent, once it's very good, then people will come to you. My first album, I can't call that one first because it's a second, but it's the first one. I can't even really remember that album. It's been a long time. It's a gospel album. Then, when I was still looking for myself. So the main first one that's on here is titled Executive Gangster. Yeah, it's on, the streaming platforms, and even though it's also when I was trying to discover myself, I feel I'm still going to come back to those albums and do a remix of them. So my second album is titled The Known Stranger. So The Known Stranger is an attempt of what I'm doing now. It's also an amazing album, And the third one is titled Dust. Dust is like an experimental kind of sound. I released that it's a private release. It's just kind of, it's like an expression of what I was going through at that particular moment. So it's really a very coded kind of music for me. So I released it out there, but I really didn't make any noise about it. It's very, very personal, but it's in a public space. And the new one I'm working on that will be released short very soon is Oba, Oneness, Balance, and Everything. I'm very, very excited about this new album because it's where I want to be. It's where I am right now. And yes, and it's where I really want to push my sound to. I'm excited about it. Thank you.